This is a WOWCube game system. I paid $250 as a pre-order for their starter pack that comes with a $30 gift card to their game store. It took them 21 months to get this box to me after the pre-order, and I did not actually receive the starter pack. Instead, they have upgraded me to the Space Invaders Cubed Edition version. And I think what happened there is they actually manufactured this guy and they just did a whole bunch of these particular ones, and so that's what they're shipping now. They also said that they had improved the mechanicals and the charger a little bit because they sent out a kind of a first batch. And people had some problems with them, gave them feedback and so forth. And I think they changed the design a little bit, and then they did another big batch. And they might have gotten some type of commercial tie-in here because it includes the Space Invaders game. So there might be some type of commercial tie-in with that Space Invaders game as well. So let's pull this guy out and see what's inside the box. First of all, it's nicely shrink wrapped, very professional looking. It has their various awards they've won at various conventions and so forth. So on this sticker right here, it says it is model number UNO 70A121, and it has an FCC ID as well. Okay, so the slipcover comes off. And inside the box, we have a little piece of cardboard packaging, another little cardboard spacer, a box here which says this package does not include WOWCube Entertainment System. I think it might be the travel case. It says S, which might be small. They have a little customer care card as well. So I believe this way is up. And there is a little cover here as well. And this looks like it might be the Space Invaders special cover. Although no, that's not true, because this guy here also says Space Invaders Cubed Edition on it. And it says pre-installed Ladybug, pre-installed Space Invaders, pre-installed 2048, pre-installed Pixel World. So we have a piece of cardboard which probably has my gift card and instruction manual. And then, the moment we've all been waiting for, the actual WOWCube itself. And underneath the WOWCube is the charger, or charging base. And the charging base has this super thin little guy with contacts that the WOWCube actually, it slides between them, and it pulled off when it came up. Let me see if I can get it back on. I don't want to break anything here. Alright, so that's a little fidgety to put back on the charging base. So there's a USB-C port here, it looks like a LED, a switch that has a circle and a lightning bolt. Also there is use only with original charger and cable, input 5.5 to 5.6 volts, 3.2 amps, output 5 to 6 volts, 2.8 amps. Model SNTC183. Now in the box here there are also a jigsaw puzzle of other little boxes, and I'm assuming some of these contain the charging cables. Here has a fold-out wall plug power supply. It's a USB-C. Its output is power delivery 5 volts, 3 amps, 9 volts, 2 amps, 12 volts, 1.97 amps, max 20 watts. So it looks like kind of a max 20 watt is what you need to power this guy if you don't have this thing. Alright, so this box has what looks like the interior of a Rubik's Cube. It's probably also the interior of a WOWCube. So potentially this is a spare part. I'd have to read the manual to find that out. If I had to guess, I'd say this is probably the USB cable. It has a tool with a tiny little Phillips head screwdriver on it. I don't see any tiny little Phillips head screws. I don't want to just stick it in random places, but there is a screwdriver, so somewhere there must be screws. And here is the cable. It's a pretty nice looking woven nylon cable. So we can plug this guy in and see how it charges. And in the final small box, oh, it's just an adapter. So if you are in the EU or need an EU power plug, I believe this guy will swap in instead of this guy. So I think that it either snaps on here. I think it just snaps on just like that. So yeah, so you can snap this EU adapter in and basically power this thing in the EU. Pardon me. Which indicates that this input is a universal 100, 240, 50, 60 hertz input. Alright, so the quick start guide is pretty simple. He basically says, hey, turn on the cube, twist the cube once. Select an app, is tilt it so the white frame is on the app, and then launch the app by tapping the cube twice. To control games, you twist, tilt, tap the cube. To go back to the menu, you shake the cube 3 times up and down. To charge the cube, you put it on the charging base, plug it in. There's also a reset and store option. So you take this switch from the charge, which is the lightning bolt, to the way it came shipped from the factory, which is the 0. And if you put the cube on the dock when it's in the 0 position, it will basically store it, and apparently that keeps the battery from draining. If you remove the cube, it completes the reset process. So basically you use this as a way to reset the cube. Now there was also in this little guy here a reset recovery tool, and you basically fold it in quarters and you stick it in the cube, you insert it and you leave it in until the recovery process is complete. It resets it to factory defaults. So it looks like all of the buttons are on the inside of these little cube faces. Now there is also a cell phone app. You turn on Bluetooth, you download the app, and then you can use that app to purchase more apps or to install things. There's even a dev kit where you can create your own app. There's also a full instruction manual at this place here. So looking at the travel case, it is a square box which has a mostly square case in it. And there's things in the travel case too. Alright, I was not expecting that actually. There is another power adapter with EU plugs. There are 10x protective bumpers, so you can install protective bumpers on apparently the corners of your cube, which seems like a good idea if you were going to drop one of these things. And a cable. And it has here another charging base, and this bit here is like a little circuit board, and it's very thin and it feels flimsy. So I'm glad I have a second charging base just in case I accidentally break one. But apparently when you get the travel case, it comes with those items inside, or at least the version I got had those items inside. So let's put this guy in here. Now that is not closing with this guy in here. So it looks like if you're traveling with this, you would need to insert this into the cube, and we'll make sure that fits in that case when we do that. And that is finicky to get it in there. I found I need to kind of get a corner started here. So if something's going to break, I think that's what it's going to be. I would recommend an inductive charging system instead, but I might understand why coils of wire are difficult to get in there. Okay. So you do have to kind of pull that cube, put a little tension on it to get a slot big enough to get that in. But then once you got that in, well, it doesn't fit in that way. Okay, it fits in that way. It's tight, but it fits. So you can travel with the cube, with the charger plugged into the cube. There is absolutely no room for this guy inside of the box. Now, you could take this off, and then the cube fits in there very nicely. I don't think there's a lot of room there. I do not think we could get the charger in, and even if we did, you couldn't plug it in without the base. So I think you're going to have a USB charger separate from the little travel case. So I have to say, I was a little disappointed in the 21-month wait to receive this product. But now that I see all of the features with the travel case and the extra chargers and so forth, I'm feeling a lot better about it. Let's actually try this thing out. So there's a little cat with an arrow to pull out. It looks like a traveling thing that will keep it turned off. The cube already booted on its own. It has little logos going. They're all the faces are showing basically the same thing here, version 171. And now we can do things. So they have a volume box up here, and you can move stuff around. I'm trying to find that volume box again. Oh, here's the setting. All right, so I'm in the settings menu. I'm going to tap it. Okay, diagnostics mode. Double tap to start. Okay. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Oh, that's fancy. So every cube has 3 screens on it, and it tells you the firmware information and the battery information for this cube, the status of, I think, I'm not sure what the status is, temperature and 30 MR. I don't know what MR is. So this thing is pretty flashy with all these screens. Now let's see. I shook it 3 times. It went back to menu mode. Oh, there's a power switch. So sleep mode. And it goes to sleep. Now, when it's asleep, I think if you just turn it, it turns back on. There we go. Oh, and here's something. There's sleep mode again. There's settings menu. All right, so we have diagnostic mode. We have brightness. Brightness is at 50%. So we can twist to change. Okay, so we twist the brightness 75%. All right, hold on, where to go? There's the brightness. Okay, there's 75%. Double tap to change brightness. Double tap. Okay, twist to change brightness. Oh, I went down. Let's go up. Up. 100% brightness, so that's 100% brightness. Okay, double tap to return to settings. So we have brightness. I don't know what that is. There's diagnostics mode we've already done. There's volume. Volume is good for now. Shut down the cube. To start again, use the dock reset button. So let's not shut down the cube. And app statistics, double tap for app statistics. So I don't think I've used any statistics. There's time alive, 10 minutes, 0 seconds, shakes 0 times, and so forth. All right, let's try an actual game. And I have my game helper here to test out the system, who has been very impatiently waiting off camera. You have to get the white thing to the game you want to play. All right, now double tap. Maybe a little harder. Here.
Oh. Twist to start. Oh. Nothing's happening. Hmm? Oh, and
there's your spaceship. Don't forget the other side of the cube.
There's another. Ah! It's like 360.
Watch out for the Space Invaders. Do you have to shoot from there? How are you shooting? Do you tap in?
By tapping? I died.
Oh no! Alright, my son and I have been playing this at brightness 100% for about 10 minutes, and it's getting a little warm in my hand, and I've decided I don't really need... Oop, I need a double tap first. Double tap. Okay. I decided I don't really need 100% brightness. So we're going to go down to 50% brightness and call that good. Alright, now I want to get back to the main menu. And we're going to try a different game. Ooh, aquarium. I'm not even sure if that's a game, it might just be a display. Okay, so there's some fish. I'm not sure it's a game, I think it might just be a display.
I think it's just a display.
But the base of the aquarium is down here. If you turn it, it changes the base of the aquarium. So I think this is something you leave on your desk in the dock when it's charging. But that's a pretty cool little display thing. Pixel World. Aquarium. Oh, what's this? Widgets. Ooh. Alright, so it says scan the QR code to set up the widget. So apparently I've gotten to the point where I need to use the phone app. So I'm going to install the phone app and play with that a little bit. So there were a lot of things in that box, and there's a lot of different packages to nest back together. I'm not certain I'll be able to get it all back in the way it came out without just rewinding my unpacking video here. Okay, I plugged the WOWCube base into just a standard USB-C power delivery charger, and it negotiated 5 volts, 2.2 amps. It's drawing 10 watts right now, and there's a little battery charging icon in the top corner there. Alright, I've just left it in aquarium mode while it's charging. It's still drawing 10.7 watts. Alright, this guy's charged. It's still drawing about 0.9, 0.7, 0.8 amps. Just running the screensaver of the aquarium. So after charging and just sitting here running the aquarium, this guy is definitely warm to the touch, not uncomfortably so, but warm. This is at 50% brightness. So when I first connected the phone via Bluetooth with the phone app, it basically just said, hey, we have a firmware update. Push this button. It did have to be plugged into the charging dock to make sure it has power for the update. And now it's transferring from my phone to the cube. So I took the WOWCube on a trip with me, and halfway through the trip my charger that I'd taken with me stopped working. So you plug it in, you don't get a green light, it just doesn't work. So I basically ran the battery down and then couldn't charge it and use it anymore on that trip. Apparently this is an issue where if you flip this switch to the reboot or power saving and reboot, if you pull it off mode while this guy's plugged in, it kills it. Because I just got an email, a little bit late for me, that says, hey, please remember the charging station's mode should only be changed when it is disconnected from the power source or if the indicator light is orange-red. This practice is crucial for protecting the charging process and preserving the longevity and efficiency of our WOWCube. So I sent an email to WOWCube about this guy when it stopped working, and a couple days, like 5 or 6 days later, they said, well, you have a second one in your package, try the second one. So the second one does correctly have an orange light when it's charging or a green light when it's not charging. So my second one is still working as of now. Also, they made an announcement about having a new fancier charging base with a button instead of a switch. So apparently the original charging bases might have some issues with longevity. Alright, I took this guy on a trip, played around with it. It's fun. I don't know if it's worth the money fun, but it's definitely fun. So they have various games, and in general, the games make use of which direction you're holding it, so which way's up, kind of the accelerometer. So triple start, tap to start new. You move this around, and the ball follows with gravity. You can move it around down here, collect 4 batteries to open exit. So I think we need to go over to here. So I collected a battery. And in this particular case, it's simplistic because they have several sections that aren't lit up. And so moving this thing around really doesn't help much. But as you get to higher levels, they have things where moving them around is the only way to get to where you need to be. So this is a game called Catch It. And you basically have atoms, and you're trying to catch the atoms here. And it gets more and more complicated as you go along. This particular level's relatively simple, so I have those 2 atoms there, but you have other atoms outside here, and so to move them over, you can rotate, and then that'll get some of your atoms into the same area. And once they're in the same area, then you can capture them. And different atoms have different behaviors. Some will float up, some will just bounce back and forth, so the orientation matters for some but not others. Here's an atom over here. I need to get this atom over to that guy, so I'm floating the atom up to the top, flipping it over, and then floating this atom up to the atom catcher. And so many of these games have a very similar mechanic of, hey, you need to manipulate the cube in such a way that you can get the thing you're working with to the target. Sometimes that has to do with rotating the cube so that this thing gets on the same face. Sometimes it has to do with how you're holding it upright or down, how gravity's working with you. And sometimes you just have to wait. Some of these guys just bounce, and all they do is bounce and move slowly, so you just have to get them where they're lined up and going, and then once they get in, then they're trapped. So now I have to look around and say, oh look, there's this other guy I'm missing. Let's get him in there as well. And so this is one that falls, so if I hold it where it's down, it'll fall into there. And now I'm looking around for any others I'm missing. Oh, I finished that level. So they have a couple of widgets and screensavers. So the widgets really don't have that many things. I really only found 3 or 4 to set up. They have a euro to dollar conversion rate, a couple of clocks and times. You can do a weather report if you have it hooked up to your phone app. You could theoretically put widgets on all of the faces, but they don't have enough widgets in their store for me to fill in more than 5 or 6. I think I personally like, let me shake that to get rid of the widgets. Trying to get rid of the widgets by shaking. There we go. I think I like the aquarium the best as far as screensavers go. Of course, because they're all over the place, you got to find where it is to activate it. So, the aquarium here just has fish swimming around. So if you're looking for screensavers, there's aquarium, there's lava lamp, there's a couple others. There's a snow globe you can do as well. So it's a very nice piece of hardware. I'm a little worried about longevity. One of my charging bases already kind of crapped out. Maybe that's why they included 2 in the package. So far, all of my cubes are working well, and everything's working the way it's supposed to. But there are so you flip this to change the scene, and then you can double tap to change the mode. I think it's daytime versus nighttime modes. So, you know, this action works pretty well, and I just don't know how long it's going to last, you know, with that mechanical motion there. So I'm pretty impressed with it. It looks cool. It has some interesting kind of haptic modalities where you have to flip things around to do stuff with it. I don't know if it's really worth the money. You know, if you have a lot of money, it's a nice toy. It's a nice thing to have to play with. But just as something to buy, it's not super multifunctional. You know, it's interesting and fun. You can download new apps on it and have cool effects. It's, you know, kind of neat. However, I don't know longevity. I'm trying to shake to get back to the menu. There we go. Longevity of entertainment. I don't know if it's going to be super, super long. It has a couple of useful features, like, you know, here's chess timer, you know, so you can have a chess timer where you set, you know, a classic timer, for example, and you can increase the number of minutes. You know, you want to say, hey, well, let's see if I can figure this out here. So somehow you can turn this thing to increase the number of minutes. Set main timer 0.99 minutes. Twist to choose time. So maybe it's this twist. Okay, there we go. Not everything is 100% intuitive. So it says 21 minutes, add 10 minutes, you flip it that way, and it kind of goes down here instead of saying up there, so you got to flip it over again. Here you can add 1 minute, so I can, you know, go to 32 minutes, except the 32 is down there instead of like staying in the upper corner. So once you have it ready to go, you double tap to start. We say, okay, there's 32 minutes, and we have player 1 and player 2, and you can, you know, start, double tap to start. And the double tap is accelerometer based, so you want to do it there, and then it says light knock to switch timer. You know, so player 1 is counting down versus player 2, so you do a nice little tap, and now player 2 is going. And so it's kind of nice in that it shows this on both sides, so everybody around the table can see it, and you know, anybody can tap on it and flip it back and forth like that. But is it better than just a $10 digital chess timer? Probably not. So they can always add other cool things. You know, here's the magic cube, you know, and so my son likes the 8-ball, and so it can be a digital 8-ball. So you asked a question, should I buy the cube? You twist it, and then something pops up and it's going to tell you an answer. And it says, reply hazy, try again. So, you know, that's basically my feel about this, is if you want a toy, you want something cool to play with, it's won, you know, design awards. It doesn't always react to the shake to go back super easily. You know, like I feel like I have to tap it a little harder than I'd like for the double tap. It doesn't have any touch sensitivity on the screens. It's all accelerometer, does it detect you hitting it. And so if it's on the table, it doesn't detect it as well as if it's in your hand and like hits twice. You know, so it's cool hardware. Some of the software is pretty neat. You know, like here's the timer, for example. I flipped the butterflies. There's the timer, you know, and so here you can, you know, increase it. And this timer works, well, it did work a little better. So like if you want to add 15 seconds, you flip it like that. And this thing stays at the top for the most part, except when it doesn't and it pops down there it popped up. You know, so it's not perfect. It's not seamless, but it's cool. And so, you know, I think it's double tap to start the thing. Let's see. Okay, so the timer's going. You can double tap to pause, twist to restart, and you know, off it goes. So it's cool. It's probably worth the money from a kind of a standpoint of, you know, how much it costs to make, but I don't know if it's worth the money from the amount of benefit it gives you for the money you get. So, you know, there's room in the future for the price to come down and for the software to improve. It's cool. I don't really recommend everybody go out and buy it. If you have disposable income, you want a toy, it's a cool toy.